So one could ask then, in the context of what we've learned thus far, what is the point of all this? Like, if it isn't some sort of Harry Potter quest for power and influence in the world, or some means by which one finds prosperity or status or whatever, what is the point of magical practice? Well, the point of magical practice is precisely the opposite. It is to free yourself from the ego inflation, that ego inflation that so dominates our culture now, so that one can enjoy a quiet conversation with reality without being driven by the trivialities of a quest for status or power or the rest. It is precisely a path to be rid of those influences rather than to achieve them. And of course, for those of you who may have dabbled in this stuff somewhat superficially, I'm sure that what I'm representing here as magical practice may be a little contrary to what you might have assumed. And there's a reason for that. And the reason for that is there have been throughout history many people who have seen this sort of practice as a potential opportunity for precisely seeking wealth and status and other sorts of ends. And it is precisely those individuals driven by ego inflation that are the most likely to write books about their exploits, and it is precisely those kinds of books that are written from the point of view of ego inflation that are likely to be read. That doesn't mean that they're effective. It simply means that they're popular. And we would assume, if our model is correct here, that that would be precisely what we would expect, that the superficial would be elevated and the authentic would fall to almost complete obscurity. In fact, I would suggest that the more adept a practitioner is, in fact, the more intimate their conversation with reality becomes, the less interest or drive to document, to teach, to guru, to any of the rest becomes, to the point where I imagine there's an event horizon by which an individual who becomes so effectively connected with an authentic relationship with reality simply drops out and probably not heard from again. No, actually, the task here, as it is traditionally understood, and I think its purest form, the point of being a magical practitioner is to speak with, to allow, to speak through, and to, in fact, speak on behalf of the many, many voices that comprise the reality that gives rise to our conscious experience. There's many ways you can come to see that or spin that. That is, in essence, the task, and that is reward enough and burden enough for anyone who would want to take it on. It brings with it, of course, a profound sense, in fact, knowledge of relevance and connection. Something I think that many of us in our modern society really lack and seek. Of course, again, that's prohibited to us because of our tendency to seek ego inflation and the rest. But this path still exists and persists, and it is accessible and perhaps even inevitable for anyone to discover who makes the attempt to seek it or perhaps anything else. Cheers, people.